Okay, so we were talking about the modulus function. So now there are certain properties related to modulus function. The modulus function that makes everything positive. Okay, every real number positive. So there are certain properties related to modulus function. The very first property that we should be aware of is that whenever, okay, just think, for any real number, what we actually have is when you look at a square of a real number, okay, a square of a real number is always positive, right? It's always positive. Square of a real number is always positive, right? Now, even if you square minus x, you get positive x square. Even if you square x, you get positive x square. So you square minus x or x, you get x square, which is a positive number. So can we relate this to the modulus function? Oh yes, we can of course relate to the modulus function in the manner that square root of x square, when you take the square root of x square, it can be minus x, it can be x. So that makes it modulus x. Okay, that makes it modulus x. That means that it is positive x when x is greater than or equal to 0. It is minus x when it is less than 0. Okay, now the thing is that for example, if you look at cos, okay, so square root of cos square x will actually be modulus of cos x. Now by modulus out here, what do we mean? We mean that it will be cos x, where between 0 to pi by 2, okay, in the first quadrant. In the second quadrant, what happens is that cos x is negative, right? In the second quadrant, the cos x is negative. So modulus cos x makes that positive. So minus of cos x when x is between pi by 2 and pi, because since you will get the value of cos x as negative, and negative will make that positive. So that is how you will get a modulus value which will be positive. Now second key important property relates basically to real numbers. So we say that, you know, if we have two real numbers A and B. Okay, so what sort of relationships can we have? Okay, now these are two positive real positive numbers. Okay, R plus essentially denotes real positive numbers. Okay, so what happens when x square is less than or equal to a square? Now when x square will be less than or equal to a square, that would imply I can take square roots on both the sides, right? So modulus x will be less than or equal to a. Now simply a, why? Because a is a positive number, okay? So I don't need to make it positive by taking modulus. I don't need to take it positive, make it positive by taking modulus. So that would be equivalent to saying, okay, mod x is less than or equal to a would actually be equivalent to saying that x lies between minus a and a. Okay. Now, why I did not keep a modulus at a is simply because a is a positive number. In any case, we are given that a is a positive number. Okay. So there is no question of making it positive by looking at what happens when a is less than 0. Okay, so now modulus x can be minus x when x is less than or equal when x is less than, strictly less than, that's my mistake, strictly less than 0, and it is positive x when x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that if I look at mod x less than or equal to a, so that would mean that x is greater than or equal to minus a. Okay, x is greater than or equal to minus a, because I can take it as minus x is less than or equal to a. See, plus x is less than or equal to a, minus x is less than or equal to a. So I can take it as x is greater than or equal. The sign changes, the inequality sign changes there, because minus x less than or equal to a is same as saying x is greater than or equal to minus a, and hence we have that thing there. Hence, I can put it all together and it becomes that x actually lies between minus a and a. Okay, so whenever you have this modulus x is less than or equal to a, that actually means that x lies between minus a and a. What happens in the greater than or equal to case? So the second case that we can look at is the case of x square being greater than or equal to a square. Now what happens there? Now taking the square roots, you will get to know mod x is greater than or equal to a. Now again, what that means is that mod x, that x is positive, right? So x is greater than or equal to a minus x is greater than or equal to a. Both the cases hold. So either x is greater than or equal to a or minus x is greater than or equal to a. Now minus x is greater than or equal to a is same as saying x is less than or equal to minus a, right? The inequality changes with the minus sign. The inequality changes, taking minus on both the sides, and so either x is less than or equal to minus a, or x is less than x is greater than or equal to a. Now both the things can't happen together, right? Both the things can't happen. It can't so happen that x is less than or equal to minus a and at the same time it is greater than or equal to a. So that is why we can't put it together as an interval. So separately we can say that mod x greater than or equal to a would actually mean either x is less than or equal to minus a or x is greater than or equal to a. I mean, if you take a as some, say 2. So both the things can't happen together, right? X is less than or equal to minus 2 means either minus 3, 4, minus 4 and so on and so forth. And x is greater than or equal to 2 means 3, 4. So both the things can't happen together, right? So that way. Okay, so now we can also look at the strict inequalities. Now we have seen the weaker inequalities. We can look at the strict inequalities. The same thing will flow, right? The same thing will flow with the stricter inequality. So x square is strictly less than a square would mean that actually x lies strictly between minus a and a. X lies strictly between minus a and a. It is equivalent to saying that x lies strictly between minus a and a. Whereas when you're talking about x square being strictly greater than a square, that means that mod x is greater than a, which means either x is strictly less than minus a or x is strictly greater than a. Okay. Now now let's see something where we have two numbers, okay, two positive numbers a and b, and we want to see what happens to the what happens to the x which is sandwiched between a and b. So x square is between a square and b square, which are two positive real numbers. Then that means that mod x, okay, taking square root all together everywhere, mod x is between a and b. So what will that mean? That will mean that is equivalent to saying that x is it belongs to minus b minus a union a b. Now how is that happening? How is that happening? Why will it belong to this? Why am I saying that this belongs to this? Is because, see, case number 1, when x is positive, okay, either positive x lies between a and b or negative x lies between a and b, right? Now, that is something that we understand, right? So either that situation or this situation. Now minus x lies between a and b can be taken as x lies between minus b and a, right? The inequality actually changes, okay? The inequality would actually change, okay? Because there is a taking minus sign all together, making x positive, the inequality will change. So essentially this actually means that x is greater than minus b and x is less than or equal to minus a. So minus b and minus a become the boundary, and since it is either that case or this case, therefore the first one gives you the interval a b, closed interval a b, because you have weaker inequality. They can be equal also, so endpoints are there. So minus a minus, minus b minus a union a b. That's what it will mean. Okay. So x can lie in either of these interval in case modulus x is between a and b. Now next situation, what we will talk about is the strict inequality. So x squared lies between a square, b square strictly. So that means mod x lies between a and b strictly. Now what will that imply? That will simply, it will be the same. I don't think I need to explain it again. It will be exactly same, whereas what will happen is that your intervals will become open intervals. Why? For the simple reason, it is strict inequality, endpoints will not be included. Okay. Now, number 3 property. So this was number 2 property. Now, number 3 property says that in case you have two real numbers, x and y, when we have two real numbers, x and y, mod x plus y should be actually equal to mod x plus mod y. Okay. And this thing will happen if and only if two conditions happen. If and only if two conditions happen. Now, what are these two conditions? This, of course, will have to do with, being positive x and y and then negative x and y. So, in case both x and both y both are greater than or equal to 0, then this will happen, or else x is less than or equal, strictly less than 0 and y is strictly less than 0. It can happen in that situation. No situation in between can this thing happen. In no condition in between can this happen. So we can take numbers. You simply for x and y take numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. It can be anything 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have x, you have y, you have x plus y. So if x is 1, y is 1, x plus y is 2, right? So mod x, of course, is 1, mod y is 1. So mod x plus y will also be 2, right? Similarly, if you have minus 1 as your xy, x plus y will be minus 2, okay? Now, I have to somewhere fit in modulus of x plus y. I'm actually locating where I can fit it. Okay, let me just put it out here. Okay, modulus x plus y. So in the case of the first case, modulus x plus y will be 2. In the second case, when both are negative, okay, then also modulus will be actually x plus y. Modulus will be same as mod of x plus y is same as mod x plus mod y, but not in any other situation. So only in these two situations can this happen, not in any other situation where the inequalities are changing somewhere. Probably x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is less than or equal to 0. These kind of combinations won't be viable in this identity. You can look at any example for that matter. Now looking at the difference, what happens to the difference when like we say x plus y modulus, you can have x minus y modulus. Now that case also equals to the separate difference, that is a mod x minus mod y. If and only if the condition out here would be, if the condition out here would be a little different. The condition here would be that x is greater than or equal to 0 and mod x is greater than or equal to mod y. Either this happens or x is less than or equal to 0, y is less than or equal to 0 and mod x is greater than or equal to mod y. So modulus x is greater than or equal to modulus y. Why? Because we are subtracting. So modulus x minus modulus y will be positive only in that scenario where modulus x is greater than or equal to modulus y, right? Otherwise, the validity of mod x minus y won't happen, right? Now we can again look at the numbers and we can just try to look at the identity. So let's take the numbers, say, 1, 1 as our x, y. No, actually, we should be taking, x should be bigger. So let's take 2, 1. So the difference is 1, right? Modulus of the difference is also 1. Now modulus of x and y are the same. So modulus x minus modulus y will be same, 1 in both the scenarios. Okay. Now, if you take the other case when x and y both are negative, so we can take -1 and -2. Okay, so that makes the difference minus. That will make the difference -1, in fact +1. Sorry, in fact +1. So that will make the difference +1. So the modulus of the difference will be 1. Again, now modulus of x will now become 1. Modulus of y will become 2. So mod x minus mod y. Just see the scenario. Mod x minus mod y is actually -1. And that is because -2. Y has been taken as -2 and mod x is not greater than or equal to mod y. So that is why you are getting a different value and the identity doesn't hold out here. Okay, so that is why mod x minus y is not equal to mod x minus mod y. So you understand why we have taken that modulus property out here. Okay, next now again we can look at what always is true is that modulus of x plus minus y is always less than or equal to mod x plus mod y. You can look at certain numbers and actually try to do it yourself. Okay, so mod x plus y is greater than or equal to, and it's greater than or equal to modulus of mod x plus mod y.